Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Junior Draft Club. It's nice to see you all. We're always so happy to be able to gather everyone together again because a month always seems like an eternity between our get-togethers. We're so lucky to have two presentations today, but before we introduce our speakers, we have a few things to share with you. So first off, Mary Dagg, Ann Innes Dagg's daughter, is going to tell us about something exciting that took place earlier this month.
Thank you, Leslie. You may know that Dr. Ann Innes Dagg, my mother, was the founder of the Junior Giraffe Club and is known worldwide for her groundbreaking research on giraffe. She created this club because she wished she could have joined it like this when she was a kid. So we're thrilled to let you know that we recently had a Heritage Minute that was created about Anne, my mom. The Heritage Minute is a series of historically focused public service announcement of a significant person, event, or story in Canadian history. Created by Historic Canada, they have become a recognizable part of Canadian culture. And what's really cool when we spoke to the people that create and start the Historic Minute is they said, your target of 1 million viewers in the space of 1 month. So this is the month of October, which is special because it celebrates women's history in Canada. So they've done the whole month of October. We're targeting 1 million views by October 31st. So far, we have 450,000. So we're doing really well. We're very excited. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video.
All right. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes. Yep, all good.
When I was little, my mother took me to the zoo. My love affair began right there. I wanted to know everything about giraffes, but there were no books, so I went to Africa to study them myself.
I was expecting Mr. Innes. You misrepresented yourself.
I certainly did not. I am A. Innes.
If I knew you were Miss A. Innes, I never would have invited you.
Exactly. My research was considered groundbreaking and published in the world's top scientific journals. I became known as the first authority on giraffes. Discrimination against women in Canadian universities prevented me from getting tenure, but my love for giraffes persisted all my life.
My mother, Dr. Ann Innes Dagg, was the first Western scientist, man or woman, to study any African mammal in the wild. In 2019, she received the Order of Canada. Yeah. So please help us share that. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Allison Reed, who is the director of my mother's movie, The Woman Who Loves Giraffes, was the one who prepared the Heritage Minute. So she did a phenomenal job. So please, if you can help us in the next couple of weeks leading up to Halloween on the 31st, please share it with your friends. Tell everybody to take it, watch it. It's amazing.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Mary. We're very excited by that minute. Jessica GRANWEILER, a giraffe researcher and a Junior Draft Club facilitator, spoke to us in February about her research on giraffes and slopes, and now she's back to give us an update. Thanks for chatting with us today, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to see you guys all again. So glad to see all the giraffes as well on the screen. I love it. So I'm going to quickly share my screen. And I can talk to you a bit more about some more research I've done with giraffes recently. So let me try and figure that out. Share. Okay, how's that? Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yes, cool. So as you may remember, some of you, I recognize your faces, were there last time when I spoke to you about how giraffes struggle to climb hills. And that was another quirky thing about giraffes. So today I wanted to talk to you about something a bit different. And mainly, if that clicks. No. Yes. Can giraffes and humans live together? And you might wonder why I'm asking this question, but you need to remember how giraffes live where they come from in Africa. So most of you might have seen giraffes in zoos, which is a fantastic opportunity and is what created the spark in giraffe love in Anne as well. But most giraffes, actually, where they come from in Africa, live in these big open spaces where they can roam around, go and try and find the trees they need to feed on. But in the same space, humans can go there too. So they can walk around, drive around, cycle, everything you would do in your garden. People in Africa do that where the giraffes are. And that sounds potentially like a fantastic plan and an amazing experience. But for giraffes, sometimes it can become a bit scary because not all giraffes know what a human is. So my research was to try and figure out, when do giraffes are happy with humans and when are they scared of humans? So you have to imagine a scenario like this where there would be humans like us that would either be doing a safari, watching the animals, which I know some of you have done and have been lucky to do, or there will be some farmers that would be walking around the same areas where the giraffes are with their sheep or their goats. And when the giraffe sees that, there's three ways that they can react. They can either be happy, like the giraffe on the top, and in that case, that's what we want. If the giraffes are happy, they will continue living in the areas and all is well. But they can also get scared. And in that case, if they're scared of humans because they've never seen them before, or they think that it will hurt them, then they'll run away, and that's not great. Or they can be stressed, which is a bit like you. If ever you have to do something that you are nervous about, like your first day at school, or seeing someone you haven't seen for a long time, you can get very stressed and nervous. And that's not great for the giraffes either. So my research was to try and figure out, how can we live with giraffes and then the giraffes are still happy? So it turns out, actually, there's a lot of scenarios where giraffes are happy with humans being around. I find that in the cases where the humans were farmers, or if they were here for touristic opportunities like safari watching, the giraffes were quite happy as long as you kept a safe distance. Also, I find that areas where giraffes saw humans nearly every day was where the giraffes were the happiest with humans, because they saw them so often that they realized humans are okay. They don't hurt me. They don't mean anything. They just want to do their life. So that was great. Other scenarios where they were scared was when there was some hunting going on. So that doesn't necessarily mean hunting of giraffes. It was other hunting, like rabbits or deer. But that tend to scare the giraffes a bit. And also in cases where giraffes didn't see humans often. So if the giraffe saw people only once a month, let's say, which is very rare, they would then be scared every time they saw humans because they were like surprised. They thought, oh, what is this? I don't know who you are, what you want. So that is all very important information for giraffe conservation. And then turns out that the moment where giraffes are stressed is nothing really to do with human activity. It was more to do to when they had babies. So when giraffes were pregnant or had babies, they were quite stressed. And that's simply because having a baby requires a lot of energy out of the mother's body. And therefore, it can lead to a lot of stress levels. But overall, I also found that giraffes are happier when they are watched from a car than by foot. And that's probably because they don't always associate cars as a human, so you can get closer and they don't run away as easily. And then as well, when a giraffe is a boy or a male versus a female, they are happier. Females get more scared, and that's probably just because either they're smaller or so because they often have babies, and babies get scared very easily. But overall, it's fantastic news because it means that giraffes can actually live very happily alongside humans, whilst humans do loads of different things, which is very important for human economy and happiness as well. We need to be able to do all the things we like to do as long as the giraffes are happy too. And that's great news for giraffe conservation. So that's my update, and thank you for listening. And I'll take some questions probably later, maybe, or now. I don't know.
Yeah, if you've got any questions. Oh, Shannon raised her hand.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks so much for that really interesting research. One thing I was wondering, besides walking away or running away, how do giraffes exhibit stress? How can you tell they're stressed?
That's a great question. So you are right that actually most times when the giraffe is approached by a human, and I'm sure most of you have experienced that even in a zoo, what most giraffes do is just watch you. They watch you very, very much. And sometimes they run away. In my case, how I was being able to measure if they're stressed or not is scientists can measure stress levels in giraffe poop. So we collect giraffe poo and we bring it into a lab, and then we can do loads of experiments, and then we can measure how much a giraffe is stressed. And that's a great way, because that means we don't have to capture it and take blood tests. We can do it from poo, which it's easy to collect and doesn't bother them. And it allows us to see under what scenarios giraffes are sleeping because of human activity or predation or other things that might bother them.
That is so interesting. Is it the cortisol levels, or do you know what it is? Okay.
Yeah, glucocorticoid levels. Yeah, correct.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And Jonathan, so is that
Lydia? Is it?
Or,
oh no, that's
no,
not
sorry.
Lydia. No,
Ben is Lydia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, Jonathan.
I'm Zoe. Anyway, do you think giraffes could like form a bond with like humans, like a certain human?
I do think so. I do think that giraffes will form bonds with humans. The more giraffes are exposed to humans that are nice to them, the more the giraffes will be okay with humans being close to them. And then in scenarios like in zoo captivity or rescue giraffes, I know that certain times the giraffe gets a very close bond to their owner or whoever takes care of them, a bit like your dog or your cat or your pets might be very close to you because they know you very often. You're the one that brings them food, and that creates a bond of friendship. And sometimes with some captive giraffes in the wild, it's a bit harder because the giraffes walk so far that they don't see you always that often. But one of the giraffes that was part of my research was a wild giraffe, but he saw humans so often that he would let you get really, really, really close, to the point that I had to crick my neck very high to be able to see him. And so, yes, it is possible to have very special relationships with giraffes, that's for sure.
And then I think Darius was next. He's got his hand raised.
Hi, a great presentation. One question I always wanted to ask was, what if a giraffe gets a little maybe like too comfortable with like humans? Like, for example, what if the giraffe ends up getting a little closer to like a human? How do we like combat that? Like, obviously, we don't want giraffes to feel like very stressed around people, but we also don't want them to get, you know, too close to other people, just because like for their safety and also for our safety as well, like having a mutual benefit. How do you see ways we can maybe like combat that, or have you seen that in your research?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's definitely very true that it's a big, sometimes an issue for wild populations if they get too used to humans and they forget that not all humans are friendly, and also they sometimes forget how big they are and how it could sometimes hurt us, even if they weren't meant to hurt us. In my study, because all the giraffes I studied was wild, we never had an issue of having an individual that was too familiar or went too close, apart from that male that I described. But it was very much on your terms, as in you had to be slowly. I think animals like giraffes and generally antelopes tend to not be I don't know, they don't search contact as much as primates or other species like this, I find. Probably just because they're always used to being the prey. So they always have this aspect of, second questioning. But there has been 1 or 2 cases of people accidentally getting kicked by a giraffe in captivity and some reserves just because they went too close, a bit like you would get too close to a horse. But I think that's just a thing you have to just be mindful of. They are still wild animals and they are very big. So their way of saying be careful might be a bit too much for you because they are so big. But I don't think there will ever be a case of giraffes being aggressive upon being too familiar with contact. Just because they don't really have an aggressive nature at all. They're very gentle and peaceful. And that's one aspect that came out of my research is amongst all mega herbivores. So that's giraffes, elephants, rhinos, all the really big animals. Giraffes are the easiest foes to live with because they're not aggressive. They don't cooperate. They don't take the food. There's not as much poaching as other species like rhino. So there's a really big conservation potential for humans to live alongside giraffes. And based on my research, that's achievable. So we really should continue our efforts to focus on giraffes.
There's one other hand raised. Oh, no. Maybe that question got answered. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jessica, for sharing with us today. We appreciate it, especially because of what you've just accomplished. I don't know if you mentioned that. I don't think you did at the start of your presentation, but what was it that you just wrapped up a couple of days ago?
Oh, yes, I just finally finished my thesis, which is my PhD thesis on giraffes. And this is why I've presented to you all. So my research, because my whole thesis was dedicated on trying to understand these beautiful creatures and how we can live with them in the future. So thank you very much, Leslie.
Well, well done.
Jessica.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, congratulations. Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
So for those who did hear Jessica present, that was back in February, and she was talking about what giraffes could handle in terms of slopes. And we learned that some could handle a bit of a slope while others had a bit of a trickier time. And it was kind of funny because shortly after Jessica had presented, there was a case of a giraffe that had escaped from a zoo in the United States. And when I heard about the story, it was because the giraffe had been able to go up a slope that they hadn't expected the giraffe would be able to go up. So we can share that with you here. Just bear with me for a second. There it is. Okay, can we see this okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
In Midtown, a daring escape today by one of Reed Park Zoo's newest and tallest residents. KGO 9's Maria Stobbs has the details.
I'm here at Reed Park Zoo, where one of their giraffes escaped its habitat and leapt onto this grassy area right behind me, leading the zoo to jump into action.
We went into our normal emergency procedures that we practice all the time.
Even though 3-year-old Satuni has only been at Reed Park Zoo for around 3 weeks, she was ready to reach new heights, with her eyes set on a nearby mesquite tree.
And just kind of hung out for a while.
But her adventure came as the zoo was about to open, delaying its 9 a.m. opening by an hour and a half, as the zoo's animal care and vet teams helped her back into her habitat.
We're enticing her with treats and all the things that she loves to eat to entice her back into the habitat. We were very fortunate that she was calm and it was easy.
This is the only time this has happened, but the zoo says this is a situation they're prepared for.
We do a different drill pretty much every month that we have our staff go through to plan, really enact that so that it's second nature.
Now they're working on modifying the habitat to fit the athletic and curious nature of the young giraffe.
We've got a short-term plan to beef up the enclosure and the containment, and then at the same time we'll be planning for some longer-term fixes for the walls.
After the daring escape, the zoo returned to its normal operations, and all the giraffes are safe and sound. Reporting from Midtown at Reed Park Zoo, Maria Stubbs, KGUN 9.
Love it.
So the interesting thing about that story, well, there's a few things here. One is Satuni's a female, and I think, Jessica, when you had presented, you had shown a video from National Geographic where I think there was a female that was able to manage the slope, but then a male was not, and he had to go, this was in the wild, right? And he had to go around to be able to get to a water source, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the female could go and try. She struggled, but she managed. But the big male, that's a lot bigger and heavier, yeah, he had to go all the way around. That's definitely right.
Satuni being a female and being smaller, lighter, might have been a factor.
They said she was 2 or 3, so she's probably just a teenager at that point. So she's probably even smaller than an adult giraffe, so even more able to climb up. And also the fact that, she, like they said, that she was attracted by a tree is what I found in my research, is that the only times they would go on slopes is when there was more food up there, because they have a reason to go up there. So that's what she did. She saw that the trees was better up there, so she went for it.
So it was a natural instinct there to then just go to that food source.
Yeah.
So Satuni, we had talked about, I think a couple of years ago, because originally she was at a different zoo, and when she was born, her legs were hyperextended and she needed special braces to be able to repair those legs. And now look at her.
Wow.
Now she's going up these slopes. And from what I'd read about Satuni is that she's quite the character. She likes to get into mischief, and maybe that's partially with you mentioning her being a teenager as well. She's just testing things. Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Now it's time for our guest speaker, Darius Rose. So Darius has his master's in integrative biology from the University of Guelph and traveled to South Africa to study herbivores and their diets. Welcome to the club, Darius, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, my name is Darius, and I'm going to show you my presentation in regards to large herbivores in South Africa. So first, before we start, everybody can see the presentation?
Yes. Yep, looks beautiful.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, my name is Darius, and I'm going to show you my presentation, my master's thesis on understanding giraffes' diet in the Fynbos biome within South Africa. So before we start, my name is Darius Rose. I went to the University of Guelph, which is in Ontario, Canada, and my master's was in integrative biology, which basically is zoology for most people, just looking at animals. And my general interest was in large herbivores, particularly very large kind of megafaunas, such as elephants, rhinos, and what we're going to kind of talk about today, which is giraffes. So generally, my interest, as I said, was in large herbivores. I'm always kind of amazed by their size, their impressive stature, and also what I'm very interested is in how many large herbivores kind of can coexist with each other within a particular environment. So as we've as we've seen with Africa, Africa is a very kind of like diverse place when it comes to large herbivores, and we see that there's so many different species of large herbivores that can easily weigh over a ton, such as giraffes, elephants. There's two different species of rhinos that live there, the black rhino and the white rhino. There's this picture of this large antelope here called an eland, which can weigh up to 1.2 tons. They're also a magnificent animal. And basically what I always wanted to know, especially even when I was a little kid, is basically how do these like magnificent large animals coexist with each other in the same environment, despite the fact that they're all herbivores, they're all big, and they all basically kind of almost eat the same things. So when I was in university, especially for my master's, I always wanted to kind of go to Africa. I've been there in 2017, and I always wanted to figure out how many of these large herbivores kind of coexist. So for my master's program, I was luckily enough able to work with the University of Guelph, as well as a British research group called Operation Wallacea, which helped sponsor students to go to different places around the world so they can actually properly do research and gain access to research for their careers as a result. And also it helped them with master's projects or thesis projects. And so from my master's program, I got the chance to go to South Africa as a result and work one of my dream like thesis projects in learning how large herbivores within a particular environment coexist with each other. So the reserve that I went to in South Africa was called the Gondwana Game Reserve. It is located in the Western Cape of South Africa and is home to the fynbos. And if you don't know what the fynbos is, it's a vegetation kingdom. So in the world, there's actually 6 major vegetation kingdoms, in which the fynbos is the 6th one. However, despite the fact that it's the 6th major vegetation kingdom, it's actually only restricted to this part of South Africa, as you can see here in the green, in the Western Cape. And it's home to most of the endemic species of plants that are noticeable within South Africa as a result. And as we can kind of see, it's only endemic to that one particular country, as opposed to the other 5 major vegetation kingdoms, which are kind of endemic to multiple different biomes, countries, and even continents as a result. So I wanted to figure out how many different large herbivores within this environment, which includes giraffes, which are also located within this area, how do giraffes interact in the environment with other herbivores, particularly when it comes to diet. And what I wanted to figure out was, is there niche partitioning going on? So for people who don't know what niche partitioning is, it's basically how similar animals in an ecosystem or in a habitat interact with each other and coexist with each other in a particular environment. As you can see with this diagram here with the many different species of birds. So despite the fact that they are all birds, they also eat different things to avoid competition with each other. And that's kind of what I wanted to figure out, what was going on between many of the large herbivores that you see in this reserve, including giraffes. The way in which I was able to actually figure out how diet differed between large herbivores was I used a method called DNA barcoding. So people who don't know who DNA barcoding is, what I basically have to do is do a kind of somewhat unpleasant thing and collect fecal matter, which is basically poop. However, once you collect the poop, you can take it to a laboratory in which you can isolate the DNA. So the like code or genetic code of the fecal sample, and then isolate it in order to match it to a reference base on a computer. And you can actually figure out what the animal was actually eating and identify what its actual what species that it was actually eating as a result. So the good thing about DNA barcoding is that it's not invasive. So you don't have to obviously look at the proper diet of an animal by like looking at the gut contents. Also, you don't have to properly use observational analysis because usually most of that is misidentified by people, which obviously it's not their fault. And it's important, but it also, DNA barcoding adds like a new layer to understanding how you can identify a diet of a herbivore. So in regards to my field work, I collected roughly 127 fecal samples from 12 species of the large herbivores that were present within the reserve, which included giraffes as well. So I'll go through a kind of a roll call of some of the animals I collected fecal samples from. So the first one being the giraffe. So this is the South African giraffe, which is, I believe, the species that Anne Dagg was researching when she first came to South Africa. And then the next one was the impala. So this is the most common large herbivore that you find in Africa. They're almost called like the hamburger or the cheeseburger of South Africa. Common they are. Next is the springbuck, which is a smaller antelope that's present within Gondwana as well. Then this is the bontabuck, which is a really rare species of antelope, which is related to the wildebeest. If you've ever seen like the Lion King and you've seen the stampede, those are its relatives. Here it is the blue wildebeest. So it's one of the most common large herbivores that you see in South Africa as well as other places in Africa as a common grazer. Here's the Burkle zebra, which is a very common species of zebra that you find all across Africa. This is a more rare species called the Cape zebra, which is only endemic to the Western Cape of South Africa. This here is the waterbuck, which is actually when other students went to Gondwana, this was actually their favorite animal because it was so cute and cuddly looking, like a teddy bear almost. Another animal that was there, but not as cute and cuddly, was the Cape buffalo, which is actually one of the most dangerous animals within South Africa. So despite the fact that it's a cow, it's actually one of the most dangerous animals after hippos. And it's actually been known for killing lions, just showing how dangerous it is. One of my favorite animals is the eland, which is actually the largest species of antelope on the planet, and is actually can get up to 1.2 tons, so it can weigh as much as a giraffe. And they're actually known for jumping over fences that it can be like 10 feet tall. So they're kind of amazing jumpers as well, despite the fact that they're such a massive animal. And then the largest grazing animal, so the animal that eats grass the most, is the white rhinoceros. That was present there as well. And then last, but certainly not least, the largest animal in the park and the largest land animal on the planet currently, the African elephant. So once I collected all these fecal samples from these large herbivores, I took them to the University of Johannesburg, which is in the north of South Africa, to the Center of Barcoding. And what I basically did was I managed to extract all the DNA from all the different fecal samples and then transported them back to the University of Guelph for sequencing. So sequencing is basically just where you kind of use a computer to match the DNA with a reference base, kind of like a library and stuff like that in terms of what plant species they're actually eating. So you're probably wondering, how do we figure out differences in diet between large herbivores? Well, you use it by doing math. So what you basically have to do, what I did was use Bray-Curtis. And if you don't know what Bray-Curtis is, it's basically a similarity / dissimilarity matrix in which you match basically the similarity of a diet between two different species of herbivores to see how different they are in comparison to how similar their diet is. So this is a dissimilarity matrix here. So as you can see, the higher the number is, kind of like almost a percentage, the more different their diet is from another herbivore. So as you see with giraffe here, they have an 82% difference in diet compared to Bontabuck, 71% dietary difference between buffalo, and then 83% diet difference in diet between Cape zebra, as you can follow the matrix here as a result. So that's how you kind of figure out how herbivores' diets kind of differ between each other. Also, when I was looking at Bray-Curtis dissimilarity, I created a tree here, and as you kind of notice here, giraffe diet is actually very different from many of the other species of large herbivores here, in which it's almost kind of an outgroup, which means that it's the most distinct from all the other herbivore diets, showing that giraffes on their own are actually very interesting in terms of the fact that they have a much more different diet compared to other large herbivores. So here's kind of a pie chart of all the different large herbivores. And as you can kind of see with giraffe, they have actually a very different diet compared to most herbivores, which is comprised of fabales. And if you don't know what fabales are, it's basically a diet that consists mostly of trees and bushes in comparison to the other large herbivores, which were more mixed feeders or grazers, as you can see by the different pie charts that you see there. So it kind of shows that giraffes on their own are actually very interesting in the fact that they are probably the only like notable browsers within a particular environment, which makes them actually very important for many different ecosystems in managing many different plants such as trees and bushes, while other herbivores are more mixed feeders and eat grass. Here's another kind of example. So this is an MDS plot, and as you can kind of see here, I categorized all the different herbivores based off of what they're most likely to eat. So as you see here, there's grazer and mixed feeder and browser, and the only herbivores that are in the browser section or the browser category are giraffes, and you can see how different they are in comparison to grazers and mixed feeders, which are actually kind of more eating the same thing, as opposed to giraffes, which are very, very different in terms of their diet, which kind of shows how important giraffes are to many different ecosystems in managing different environments when it comes to plant species. So another way in which giraffes can be important is in getting rid of invasive species as well. So there's actually a bunch of different invasive species of trees that are present within South Africa called wattle, which are actually from Australia, and which giraffes, through my analysis, have shown that like they've been eating most of those invasive species. So they're actually very important in kind of getting rid of invasive species in environments where there's many large herbivores, but they don't eat those particular trees or plants or stuff like that. So it shows that their diets are very different for most species, but however, that's a very good thing because they help manage many different invasive species that are within an environment. So that's kind of the major thing that we found kind of with giraffes, that they were very dietary, in terms of their diet, very distant from many different herbivores. But however, that's a good thing because it kind of shows the importance of giraffes. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm fully able to answer any of your questions if you have them.
Thank you so much, Darius. That's fantastic. You know, just one of the things that I definitely did not know was that eland can have the same weight as same weight as a giraffe.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, they're a very large species of antelope. They're the largest species of antelope on the planet. And they're also a very interesting animal, kind of like giraffes as well, in which they can be like mixed feeders, and they can change from being grazers to being browsers. And yeah, they're very interesting animals. you've probably seen them at like the Toronto Zoo or different zoos. Many of them are like females that you see, and they're kind of not as big. I mean, they're still big. They're like the size of a horse, but like once you've seen like a male eland, you realize like how massive they are. They can weigh up to 1.2 tons, which is almost as much as a rhino. So they're very massive animals, and they're very agile. They can jump over a 10-foot tall fence like no problem. If you've ever Google it on YouTube, you can see that they can jump over a fence. They're really incredible.
Wow.
All
And
the
they've
animals here are incredible in my opinion. So yeah.
And those beautiful horns, they kind of look twisted.
Yeah. They mostly use them for kind of decoration. However, they have been shown to fight with them. Similar to like buffalo, who will sometimes square up and interlock horns. So they're very peaceful animals, except maybe during the mating season when they're fighting each other. But yeah, they're very cool.
Excellent. That's very cool. Did we want to see some questions here? Thank you for that, Darius. I see, I think I saw that. Is it Zoe had a question? Zoe, did you have a question? No? Okay, so I see Jessica, I think, has a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that amazing presentation. And I'm actually super interested in what you've presented because I've also done diet metabarcoding in my thesis. So I'm really, really interested in your results. I didn't have the chance of doing it across species, which is really fantastic. I just did it in giraffes. But I just had a bit of a question. When you presented all your different foods that the giraffes ate, did you by any chance go down to the family level, or did you stay only at the order level?
We did go down to family level. So the primer that we used was RBCL, which can analyze up to the family level and can go to the species level. So as we saw with the acacia plant that I kind of referenced in the presentation, those were some of the most common species that we found within the diets of giraffes.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
So that was my question: is when you went down to the order level, was acacia the most common in their diet or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So we found that with the data that we saw that that most of the species level, roughly about 86% of the species can be properly identified up to there. So it showed that a lot of the species that they were eating were acacia. So the wattle plants, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
And I see Shannon, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Darius. That was so interesting. And actually, I did some food analysis in Africa as well, but the mammals that I worked with were Homo sapiens, the people. So
the two-legged variety.
The two-legged variety. So super interesting for me to listen to this. And the DNA barcoding, that's just fabulous. And that Bray-Curtis similarity, like the matrix, that really really zoned in on how unique giraffe are in what they eat and how important they are. Now, I know that Dr. Ann and his dad was so involved and passionate about conserving the environments and natural habitats. And when you shared with us that Fynbos is one of the 6 major vegetation kingdoms, but it only exists in South Africa, I thought, wow, that's such an important kingdom. What are is it endangered, and what are the conservation efforts that are being done to save it?
So originally, the Fynbos was a much more diverse area. So a lot of the herbivores there are actually reintroduced to the environment. So unfortunately, due to agricultural use, many of those herbivores were regionally extinct for a long time. So giraffes actually used to live there, elephants used to live there, the black rhinoceros used to live there. However, they were wiped out due to agricultural use. And also there used to be another form of vegetation area called Renosterwald, which was much more nutrient rich in terms of its soil. However, it was used a lot by farmers. So a lot of those many of those large herbivores, especially the mega herbivores, rely on were basically kind of wiped out. However, in recent kind of events, they've started, many of the farmers have actually started to kind of give away land and start to set up different game parks within South Africa, including the Gondwana Game Reserve, which helps reintroduce many of these large herbivores that used to be present within that particular area. So it is kind of a threatened area. However, there is conservation going on within that particular area. And also, from what I've heard recently, they've actually extended the Gondwana Game Reserve a bit because some of the large herbivores, especially the elephants there, weren't getting enough food there. So they wanted to extend it a bit more. So luckily, it looks like the Finbos more interest is being presented within there. And then also with my findings, hopefully can try and get more interest there, because we've actually found for most of it, many of the animals there actually kind of have diets that are somewhat different from a traditional savanna, in which we see that, like, compared to other places in Africa, that many of the large herbivores are actually more mixed feeders in comparison to grazers or singular, like eating a particular species in comparison to other places. So for example, grazers like the white rhino or the blue wildebeest or the different zebra species actually eat less grass than other places in Africa, which I found very interesting, which I also mentioned in my thesis as well.
Yeah, you found your research has really honed in on some really unique and interesting things, and so important for carrying forward the initiative for conservation of the animals and the land. So thank you so much. And I am gonna YouTube and look at the eland jumping. And thanks for all the other great pictures of the other large herbivores. That was really interesting. Water bucks, bontuck bucks. Pronunciation is terrible, but thank you. I saw the pictures.
No problem.
Thank you.
When we were in South Africa, we always could identify the water bucks because they always said it looks like they have a toilet seat at the rear end. So that's how, oh, that's a water buck. So that's great. Thank you very much, Darius. That was wonderful. Great news.
Yeah,
Are you
thank you.
still at the university now, or what are you doing?
I'm actually trying to get my PhD, so I'm not in the university currently, but I'm just trying to look for funding, which
Okay, good. And continuing research in the same vein?
I definitely want to do a PhD there. So I'm hoping to maybe go there for a bit longer and maybe see some stuff like if there's any seasonal differences in diet between the large herbivores, or maybe compare it to a more traditional environment like Kruger National Park, like a traditional savanna. So I'm hoping that that comes to fruition.
Yeah, good for you. Excellent.
Excellent. That was my question. What's next? What's next for you, Darius? And so I'm really pleased to hear that you're going to carry on and find out a lot of other really interesting things.
Yeah.
Good luck with it.
And just so everyone knows too, Darius, I believe you took all those photos that you presented.
Yeah, all those photos are from me and like pictures that I took. Yeah.
One of the researchers that has spoke to us, this was a couple years back, Anton Bayatic, he spoke to us from Austria in 2023, and his research project is combining zoo and field research to further our knowledge of the importance of acoustics to giraffe behavior and ecology. So recently, he published a study that found that giraffes living alongside lions stayed vigilant alert, so very alert, much longer when they heard oxpecker alarm calls. So I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the oxpecker, but it's a little bird that loves to sit on the giraffe and munch all the little ticks off the giraffe, which is very helpful. So we'll just quickly watch this video where you can see what his research is talking about here. So isn't that interesting?
That's actually amazing.
I love that video.
Wow.
Totally unaffected by the oriole or the dove, but as soon as you hear that oxpecker, whoop, head goes up, vigilant alert. So we continue to follow Anton as well, just like we do with Jessica GRANWEILER and Caitlin Taylor and now Darius Rose. And just always try to get those little bits of information that that you guys as members can learn from. So if you want any of those links today from the videos that we showed, then just reach out to us. You can just email us and we can send them to you in case you want to share them with your friends or even you know, just students at school in your science class. That's bonus points from your teacher, I'm sure. All right, so without further ado, it is now time for show and tell. So if anybody has a photo or a stuffy or experience or a drawing that you'd like to share with us today, then you can go ahead and either unmute or raise your hand, and we'd love to see what you have to share. Oh, we've got McLaren. Hi, McLaren.
I just wanted to show this. This is my giraffe little statue that I have. It's kind of weird.
Excellent.
And then I made this drawing. Oh, it's not really good.
So it's hard to see the drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I see is the San Francisco Golden Oh, there we go.
Oh, I saw a little glimpse of it. Wow.
I can just take down the San Francisco thing. Let me take that down.
Oh, wait, their technical support has come back.
Oh, look at that.
Ah, there you go. Oh, nice.
Oh, that's great.
Very good.
Oh,
Excellent.
and that is a favorite giraffe of yours, McLaren?
I don't know. Just a
Oh.
giraffe that I had. So
Yeah. Hey, I'll show you mine because mine's kind of similar here. I keep this on my desk every day, you know, and not only does it remind me about giraffes and, you know, what I'm working on every day, but it also reminds me of Andag. So it's almost like a little bit of Andag on my desk.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I love it.
Okay, so we've got some, thank you so much, McLaren. And hey, if ever you would like to have that on our website, that drawing of yours, send it my way. We'll put it up. So I'm not sure who came next, but Ben, which is Lydia, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Go ahead, Lydia.
I have 3 things I'm gonna share. So I have another giraffe that's really similar. It's this one. I got it for my birthday, and it's really cute. And then I have Smolbert, like how I showed Tolbert last time, but this is Smolbert.
I love
It's made out of glass, and I got it from the Black Hills, and so is this.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Cute.
Excellent.
Thanks, Lydia. And then it looks like we've got Zoe.
For my birthday, which was like a couple months ago, I got this giraffe picture from my best friend. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I got it like framed with like a giraffe.
That's a perfect frame. And sorry, I interrupted. Did you say you keep it on your desk?
Yep.
Oh, that's so nice. And I'm seeing your giraffe shirt. You're wearing your
Yeah.
animal print today. Yay. Ah, pants too.
My
That's
mother would be
great.
so proud.
I also got giraffe slippers and everything.
I mean, I clearly need to up my game.
That's what I was thinking. Me too.
I have one too. Here's mine.
Oh,
And this is what happens when it's eating. It's like yum, yum, yum. And then it hears an oxpecker. Bing! Is that an oxpecker? There must be something going on.
watch out for those lions.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's very
That's
cool.
neat. That works for drinking too, because
Yeah.
of how
Yeah, that's
much
true.
it goes
That's true,
to.
but
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. That's great. And I just have to say again, Brandy, thank you so much for coming up with that idea for show and tell, because it's just so much fun.
Brandy is so creative and has such amazing ideas. Yeah.
And
You're amazing, Brandy. We love you.
I don't know if you have all seen, but Brandy yes, she's got a photo of her with a giraffe pattern surrounding her whole head. And that was from the exhibit at the museum about giraffes and a stag. They had giraffe patterns there, and then you could go up against this wall and wear the pattern and blend right in. Fantastic, Brandy. So I don't know if everyone knows, but today is actually World Okapi Day. And you may remember Gemma Metcalf had showed us the beautiful okapi she cares for at the London Zoo at a previous get-together. So we posted about World Okapi Day on Instagram and Facebook and our YouTube channel. So don't forget to go and check it out and give it a like and a share as well. So it was so neat that not only, in that case, she was able to talk about the okapi, but then she went out. It was kind of a special surprise. She went out and then we were able to see the okapi live, and she told us so many neat things about them, the similarities with giraffe and the differences as well. So there's something about the okapi and their tongue and their eyeball. So make sure you watch
I've seen it clip. And it's very cool. You got to check it out. You got to check it out.
So that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you to our speakers, our facilitators, our volunteers, and of course, most importantly, our members. Our next meeting will be on Saturday, November 22nd. You don't want to miss it. Aaron Sackett from Apopo will be joining us. Apopo is an amazing organization that trains pouched rats. They're really big. They're like the size of a cat. And they are so cool. They can detect landmines, sniff out certain illnesses in humans. And they also support global conservation efforts by identifying commonly trafficked animal parts. So make sure that you join us on November 22nd.
Yes, and I was lucky enough to travel to Tanzania in the eastern part of Africa, where they have these rats, and they've graciously named one of the rats after my mom. So I met my mother, the rat. And she's really cute. She's very smart. Apparently she's a bit of a slow learner, but now she's picked up on it. And she is turning 3 years old, and she's now going to be put out into the field and be able to sniff out giraffe parts like rhino horns and elephant ivory and giraffe parts. So one last thing before we go, we'll do our official Junior Giraffe Club sign off. So can we have everybody unmute? And then we're going to say one of my mom's and Inistag's favorite sayings, which is long live giraffes. So everybody, if you can unmute, and I'm going to count us down. So 3, 2, 1.
Long live giraffes!
Yeah, baby. Thank you, everybody. Have a fabulous weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
See you
you,
next time.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.